Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you Game 2 in a best of 3 between YueJin and a.Lennart, and this is the grand final of the Great Paradox Tourney. It's been a long time coming, but we're into the second game now, and we're seeing Carpiquet with YueJin playing the 15th Infantry Scots, Lennart the 91st Luftlander. The 91st Luftlander did Lennart well in the first game, winning him that versus YueJin. So Lennart here one game up in the grand final. Only needs to win this game in order to become the victor of the tournament. YueJin needs to find 2 in a row if he wants to come back, and he is the only person in the tournament to do that so far. He did it against Gallo in the semi-finals. He came back from a 1-0 deficit, so it's all very possible. YueJin just needs to find success with his 15th Infantry Scots on this map. Now both players have the units to contest this top side. We saw the Marder 2s come out of Lennart previously for his 1,200 meter range engagements. Also the Sturf 42, very good for that purpose. And then on the side of YueJin, he has the Churchill 5s, which can also engage at 1,200 meter range. Also could probably stand up quite well to the Marder 2s due to having higher armor than the Cromwells that he was previously using with the Guards Armored. But I think the main interest in this will be in the town. If Lennart can take control of the town in Carpiquet like he did in Show, that's going to be a much larger advantage than he had in Show, because the town in Show is actually very small, but the town in Carpiquet is actually pretty big, as you can see. And if he uses the Flammenwerfer, Ersatztruppen Fallschirmjäger combo at the start of the game to get a lot of ground, that could definitely swing the game in favour of Lennart for the majority of the game. So let's have a look at the units going down here. Lennart is indeed going to be bringing in the Flammenwerfer Ersatz combo again, with the Fallschirmjägers there and the Command Infantry. He's also going to be joining that with a machine gun. Furthermore, we have another Ersatztruppen on the very bottom side to try and creep forwards and gain some ground. And then there's quite a large investment of infantry near this airfield. So it looks like there's going to be sort of an overwhelming infantry advantage for Lennart in this town. And then Lennart's going to push up some Ersatz with Command Infantry and an AT gun to the top side. Looks like that's going to be a Pack 40 to try and hold back any push that comes out of YueJin in the early game. On this top side for YueJin, it is going to be a Honey Stewart rifles. There is the Universal Carrier there with some scouts. We have the Command Infantry and the Command Carrier, and a Bedford supply with the, or Bedford truck with the rifles. Going into the town for YueJin, it's going to be 2 units of rifles with the 1-star veterancy, followed up by the command and a rifle squad to the top side. And on the very bottom, another unit of rifles, Command Infantry, another unit of rifles there, 2 units. Then we have the Honey backing those up. So I feel like a lot of this infantry here, which is like 4 units of Ersatz, 5 units of Ersatz, with Fallschirmpanzerabwehr, Flammenwerfer, and we have the Command Infantry in there, actually 6 units of Ersatz. Yeah, overwhelming infantry advantage for Lennart, and I'm just really interested to see this game start and have a look at where those units are actually going, because I feel like a lot of them are going to be going to this side of the town. This road is easily the fastest to get into these buildings, and then we're going to have these units sort of pushed down to here. So there's going to be a lot of units amongst these hangars, amongst these buildings, whereas there's going to be many fewer rifles on the side of YueJin, and that could definitely swing things in favour of Lennart. Now we have ourselves another reasonably long deployment, but off we go. Lennart saying hi to the casters. Hello, Lennart. Let's see where these units are going. So yeah, looks like all of these units are going to the bottom side. We have the infantry here going to the top side of the town, and then we have a unit of Ersatz to push the front line forwards on the airfield, and then some Fallschirmpanzerabwehr to cover the top side of the town. Okay, So, look at this amount of infantry coming down here. YueJin only has the rifles, 3 units of rifle, 4 units of rifles across the board, 2 units of command infantry and the command carriers, plus a honey steward on the bottom side to deal with this overwhelming amount of Ersatztruppen, Flammenwerfer, Fallschirmjägers. It's just crazy. I mean, how does he expect to deal with this? Ersatz dropped out there onto the road, going to be covered by the smoke from the Flammenwerfer. Nice micro there from Lennart to try and get the Ersatz nice and close. With the support of the Flammenwerfer, he might be able to burn out the rifles from these buildings. Let's see if he can make that work. YueJin's going to definitely have to focus the Flammenwerfer there to make things work. And he does manage to do so. One of the Ersatztruppen also falling as well. On the bottom side, rifle leader are going to be burnt out. That means there is no command here. Rifles get surrendered by the Flammenwerfer. Things absolutely devastating in the town. In the open though, on the airfield, Churchill does manage to pin down the Ersatz. Ground is being made here quite nicely. Churchill 5 going to be also able to open up onto the Fallschirmjäger. Pack 40 will eventually reveal itself. Doesn't actually have line of sight onto the Churchill 5 currently, but surely the scouts will spot that. Let me just have a look to see if YueJin can see that coming. He can't just yet. Now this is interesting because YueJin's found himself a pretty big advantage early on. He's got the 54% territory. Pack 40 is going to be taking out that universal carrier. Churchill 5 needs to get its micro on sooner than later. Those HE shells need to be landing next to this Pack 40 as soon as possible. Spitfire Mark 9 has been brought in, and the Churchill 5 is going to be attacked moving forwards. So Spitfire going to be going for the pin, but that's not going to stop the Pack 40 from one-shotting another one of those brain carriers. This rifle's though still running down the Ersatz, and that is pushing up to 56% territory lead. In the town, however, the engagement still continuing between Fallschirmjäger and the rifles. With the help of this command carrier, 3-star command carrier, a lot of damage is being done to those Fallschirmjägers. More rifles coming in to reinforce though on the bottom side to assist this command carrier in honey. Now if I were YueJin right now, I think I might focus on securing this top side and maybe sort of relinquish control on this area of the town and continue to push into this area of the town. But either way, it looks like YueJin's going to be focused on the very bottom. Spitfire Mark 9 comes in again for the Pack 40 strafe, and that's going to allow the Churchill 5 to start its fire position. Rifles still pinning down the Ersatz, but the Panzer 39 is on its way. That Panzer 39 definitely has the potential to run down the rifles here, and we do see the death of the honey on this top side, so there's honestly not too much to support the rifles and rifle leader pushing forwards up here. Another honey is on the way, but it's going to take a while to get there, and meanwhile this Panzer 39 will be able to support the rifles on that very top side. But if we check out the bottom, Panzer 39 arriving is going to help support against these rifles in a extended engagement. We have the 300 meter range engagement there from the Fallschirmjägers onto the rifles. Definitely not what you want to have, due to the Fallschirmjägers being able to fire all of their weapons at the same time at that range. You can see the FG42, the Gewehr 43 and the MG34 all able to fire at the same time. That's a lot of HE on target. Honey though coming in with the machine guns, 3 30 cals, going to be able to do quite a lot to the Fallschirmjägers, but the Panzer 39 now engaging the honey. We're going to have to watch out for these engagements, that's for sure. So with these rifles being pinned, Fallschirmjäger are going to try and make them surrender. Might just be able to make it work, although it seems as though he's going to go for the Panzerfaust shot. And is going to find it. The honey steward has gone down. That is devastating for YueJin. He can also keep the Fallschirmjägers in this position to kill off both the rifles and possibly hit the command carrier with a Panzerfaust, but it looks like it's got out of range. Rifles here are going to be melted as they run away. Now the Panzer 39 doesn't have anything to contest it as well, so this can now move up and hit the command carrier. The infantry can quite simply run down these rifles. On this top side, Pak 40 and the Panzer 39 take out a second Honey. This is not very good at all for YueJin. YueJin's also being harassed by the Pak 40 now. Stuhr 42 is rolling across this field. This Stuhr 42 can definitely help pin down the Churchill 5 and won't take too much morale penalty itself. Panzer 39 poking the Churchill 5 as well, but unlikely to find a penetrating shot. Crazy stuff. Lennart across the map really doing work with his 91st Luftlander. Just the kill onto this Honey was incredibly important, because now this Panzer 39 can rip to shreds these rifles and allow the ersatz to make even more ground on the bottom side of the town. So +1 now in favour of Lennart. YueJin did count himself 285 points, but he's got a long way to come back. 2 Spitfires in the sky. Quite a lot of points invested into the Air Force, trying to strafe to death this Pak 40. He might end up doing so, but he has done that before. We saw the Tempest in the first game strafe for Pak 40, and the amount of time it took him to do so did cost him quite dearly. And currently 3 Honeys across the map have been killed. So with these rifles being forced to fall back, Panzer 39 has done its job. We'll now be moving towards these rifles in the command carrier, where there is no longer a Honey to support. MG34 can help pin down some of the rifles as well. Spitfire is going to be coming back round. One of them's been forced to go back to base due to running out of fuel. Fallschirmjägers are being pinned, but the rifles here, they can't even use their grenades to take out the Panzer 39. So this Panzer 39 pretty much free to engage the rifles all it likes. The rifle leader might be able to get a Piat on target. Does fire off one, doesn't find the kill. That's pretty important. Panzer 39 in a pretty tough spot though. Second shot is going to land. So that's got rid of the scary moment there for YueJin. If that rifle leader failed to kill the Panzer 39, then that could have spelled doom for YueJin in this town. But he's managed to hold on by a thread. Honey now engaging the Stuhr 42, but at that range, Honey does not have the AP to penetrate the Stuhr 42. So yeah, pretty much nothing available for YueJin at the moment to deal with this. He could possibly bring up a AT gun to this top side, but he's going to have to try and get it into range without being hit on the way towards it, which is pretty tough to ask, honestly. This Stuhr 42 has an open 1,200 meter range engagement to everything except from these hangars. So it's going to be very hard to get a AT gun like a 6-pounder into 1,000 meter range of the Stuhr 42 without being hit first itself. Infantry is arriving on this top side, going to be 2 Ersatztruppen supporting a Panzer 39 to make a push. And I mentioned it in the last game, but the double Ersatz tank push is actually very effective. This time we're seeing it with the Panzer 39 on the top side, but I've mentioned it happening with the Stuhr 42 in the past. And I mean, I guess it is kind of happening with the Stuhr 42 since that is helping engage the rifles and the rifle leader on this top side. But basically the idea of it is that the Stuhr 42 will pin down the infantry, the Ersatztruppen can just run forwards and make them surrender. Now, Fallschirmpanzerabwehr have been brought up to this airfield, but currently we're seeing a 55% territory lead for Lennart. It looks to be a very bad position right now for YueJin. Things have not got off to a very good start. The combination of the Flammenwerfer and the Fallschirmjägers with the Ersatz was just enough to kill off enough rifles to make some ground here and hold on to the ground as well. Getting in that Panzer 39 and getting the Fallschirmjäger into range of the Honey was extremely important from Lennart, and now it's just counting up the points towards YueJin's score, which will negate the advantage that he had. Panzer 39 still doing work on this top side. It's going to be there all day long. HS129B3 coming in. There is 2 Spitfires available for YueJin, so this could be a pretty risky move from Lennart. Churchill had its transmission damaged. ME-109 G6R6 coming in to engage the Spitfire now. HS-129B3 will get out alive. And it looks like the ME-109 will as well, since the ME-109 is faster than these Spitfires. Lennart will not want to be looking for that engagement anymore, unless he can bait over his AA here. Yep, he's dropping off the Flak 36. As soon as he pins down this Spitfire, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for that. And there we go, we see him coming onto it. Doesn't quite time it correctly. Other Spitfire is going to be retreating. He might have just done that quick enough, YueJin, to get out of there without losing a plane to the ME-109. Nice play from Lennart to try and bait the Spitfires over that AA. But not going to work out for him this time. Doesn't find a kill. Look at these ersatz on the side down here, taking all of this ground on their own. It's pretty incredible. YueJin's now brought in his own flamethrower squad, the Assault Pioneers. They actually only have the TNT. I don't know why it had the flamethrower icon for the Assault Pioneers, but they will be able to get the 20 HE power grenade off onto this Flammenwerfer squad and take them out. The Flammenwerfer nearly kills off the Assault Pioneers in the process. And the trouble is here, with these Assault Pioneers only have one of those grenades, and once they've used them, they're in a very bad spot. So both the ersatz here and the Fallschirmjäger is able to even make ground off that, which is kind of ridiculous. Fallschirmpanzerabwehr. Look at the position these guys are in. 250 meter range is needed in order to pop a Churchill 5. And it seems here, that must have been the Stiff 42 took out the Honey with its HE. That's pretty incredible. So the Honey goes down on the airfield. It looks like it was trying to like charge down the Stiff 42 or whatever and then got itself pinned down. All of this infantry on the top side though is losing out. The 6-pounder brought in by YueJin did kill off the Panzer 39. So YueJin might be able to find ground on this top side, especially with the help of these Churchills. The Stiff 42 here has actually run out of ammunition, which is why it's no longer providing any pressure onto these Churchill 5s. But with the advance of the Marder 2, we could see the Marder 2 pick up a couple of kills onto these Churchill 5s. Churchill 7 seems like a good choice though, especially against Marder 2, since it's going to enable itself to get into range. And at max range from the Churchill, I don't think a Marder 3 can actually penetrate, so that's interesting. But ground made here on the top side for YueJin, still struggling to contest this town though. Ersatz on the bottom side were surrounded, so no longer providing any support there. 2-inch carrier bringing down some smoke, trying to get the Assault Pioneers close to these Fallschirmjägers. But the ersatz just proving so much of a problem. And the sheer amount of ersatz trooping was always going to be an issue for YueJin. And from the start of the game, there's been an overwhelming infantry advantage across the board for Lennart. And it doesn't seem to be changing in this town anytime soon, even with these Assault Pioneers getting right up into the face of the ersatz trooping. The Assault Pioneers did kill off the Fallschirmjägers there, and will kill off at least one of these squads of ersatz. But this second squad of ersatz might prove a bit of a problem, unless these guys can be unloaded and put into the building next to them. With the Marder 2 arriving though, the 6-pounder is pinned down, the rifles are being forced to fall back. We also see this Opel Blitz coming up with an AA up here, which could make things difficult for YueJin if he wants to use the Spitfire Mark 9s to strafe ground targets. More Assault Pioneers on the way for this town. I'm really not convinced that these are the right choice of units to go up against, like, even Fallschirmjägers at close range, because they're a one and done unit. They have those grenades and they have to trade effectively every time. Fallschirmpanzerabwehr there nearly popped the Churchill 7, but not to be this time around. Now this Churchill 7 can quite simply just charge up this airfield towards both the Stier 42 and Marder 2 and possibly find a kill here. But he can't do it whilst his Churchill 7 is panicked. So he's going to have to fall back for now. And that will allow the Stier 42 and Marder 2 to keep firing in the meantime. Assault Pioneers, with the help of the 2-inch carrier here, are doing some damage to the ersatz. Rifles also moving up. And it seems as though, honestly, YueJin is getting the upper hand here. There is very sort of low health squads of infantry hanging about from Lennart. But he is now reinforcing with pioneers, and pioneers will always beat out against assault pioneers due to them having not only 2 grenades, but also the higher health overall. So a pioneer squad has 10 health, an assault pioneer squad has 5 health. And basically what that means is the pioneers will survive a grenade from an assault pioneer, but not vice versa. So the pioneer will blow up an assault pioneer squad, and then the pioneer squad will still survive from the grenade from the assault pioneers. However here, assault pioneers absolutely ruined one of the pioneers, as this assault pioneer squad found itself rather far up. Is going to get thrown at by this pioneer squad here. Grenade does go off in their face, but now it's the Flak 36 that is the problem, providing the fire support from a distance there. MG does go down to the 2-inch mortar carrier, and this 2-inch mortar carrier has actually been invaluable to assist the push of YueJin here with his assault pioneers. Those pioneers also being pinned down there, and things have been brought back to a 50-50, so fantastic job by YueJin at this moment in time. Churchill 7 is trying to make some ground, but it looks like the HS129B3 is going to be the one to really put the hurt onto that Churchill 7. Unlikely to find the kill in the front armour, but does stop the Churchill 7 from continuing to make ground. Spitfire Mark 9 is on the back of this HS129 for a very long time, does shoot it down. HS129B3 is dead. Spitfire Mark 9 not going to last very long, unfortunately. And that's going to be 2 ME109 G6R6s in advantage of Lennart. So YueJin's going to lose his control in the sky, and that's not very good at all. These ME109 G6R6s are going to then be able to strafe and kill off these 17 pounders and the 6 pounders here. Currently, the Marder 2 just killing off this 17 pounder straight up, firing directly at it. The Stuhr 42 was killed off, so this push across the airfield with multiple Churchills seems to be working out relatively well at the moment. There's also, of course, the Wolverine on the way. Spitfire Mark 9 was brought in to try and catch out the ME109 near the spawn, but wasn't quite timed correctly. So it looks like that's going to be another loss for YueJin unless he can do what Lennart did to him with his AA here. He's bringing in most likely the Tripolsten, and that will possibly help YueJin win out that engagement. These ME109s are actually getting pretty low on fuel, so they have to find the kill soon, or the Spitfire Mark 9 will just trail those all the way to the exit and kill them off. Come on YueJin, unload your AA. It's right underneath the ME109s. I swear if this Spitfire goes down, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed. Nope, not this time around. But can it find a kill onto one of the ME109 G6R6s? We've been watching that engagement for so damn long. Can he find the kill? Yes, he can. One of the ME109s down. I like to see that a lot. Also, the Flak 36 got taken out. So +1 now in favour of YueJin. But we are seeing the off-map now brought in from Lennart. And it's been a while since we've seen off-map in the tournament. But coming out here for Lennart today in order to dislodge some of the infantry from YueJin. Going to be landing right on top of these poor rifle leaders. Will most likely kill off the assault pioneers as well. But that could potentially leave a big gap for an infantry push from Lennart. Churchill 6 here being used to take on the Flak 36. Assault pioneers are dead. Rifle leader somehow managing to stay alive in the centre of all the artillery. Is forced to fall back though. These rifles, not entirely sure why they were falling back. That's an interesting decision for me. Maybe a missed micro. But Churchill 5 going to be blowing up the resupply Kubel there next to the Marder 2. Now this Churchill does have a chance to kill the Marder 2 since they are open top. So both of those engaging back towards those Marder 2s. 17 pounder is still rolling forwards. Now there is an engine stall for this Churchill 5, or Churchill 7, sorry. But that's going to be falling back for quite a while, I think. Churchill 6 on the top side of the town, managing to make a bit of ground. It's going to be supported by a couple units of infantry there. We have some more assault pioneers coming into the town, but with the advance made off of the off map, these assault pioneers are going to find it hard to make some serious ground. These pioneers here catching the assault pioneers out in the open, and these pioneers do have an MG34 and another off map strike coming down, and this is very much how I like to see off map used. Lennart here is basically just putting down a strike, doesn't really matter what's there, using that to pin down any infantry units that are in his way, kill them off, and then advance with his own infantry. And it's worked very well so far. He made quite a lot of ground off that last one. Up on this airfield, it's the Marder 2 show again. In the first game, we saw these Marder 2s really come into effect. They do have 6 accuracy, and they are pretty damn strong. It's just really awesome to see them used well. Not a unit that I've seen very often, really. And eventually a Marder 2 is going to kill a Churchill 5. And that's exactly what happens, especially with it falling back. Stuart Ream coming up with another 17 pounder, going to be unloading that relatively early. Just making that a threat against these Marder 2s, but there is also an 88 on the way down here. And this 17 pounder, it could find the kill onto the 88, never mind. 88 is going to find a kill onto the 17 pounder at this rate. Unless it starts firing at the Churchill 7 first. But yeah, this 17 pounder is just waiting to be killed by the 88 right now. Currently just on an attack move. Ooh, 3-star 17 pounder does find a shot onto the Marder 2, but at the same time Marder 3 kills off the Churchill 7, and the Flak 88 takes out the Stuart Ream. These two 2-star 88s are really going to help control this airfield. And if this 17 pounder gets too far forwards, there's not much that YueJin's going to be able to do to stop this 88 from killing it. So YueJin now trying to move that away, but it's going to be in range for a very long time, and it's only going to take one more shot for Lennart to kill off the 17 pounder. It looks like the off map down here didn't really allow Lennart to move up in the end due to the arrival of this Churchill 6. But now there's Artie coming in onto these rifles, and YueJin's counting up the score at the moment, almost matching Lennart once again. Things definitely very close in this game, could go either way. Bringing in another Churchill 7 to me seems like a good choice for this airfield, but he needs to find a way to pin these Flak 36s, which could definitely be done by something like a 25 pounder or Sextons. I don't think he gets Sextons, so yeah, 25 pounders would be a good choice to like pin down the Flak 88s and then move up with the Churchill 7 to try and get the kill. But me saying all this is, you've got to take it with a grain of salt, because it's all very well like me stating this, but you got to remember that costs a lot of points. Like each 25 pounder costs 120 points, and a Churchill 7 costs like 150 points or something like that. And that's not easy to come by from YueJin, especially when he's trying to keep up pressure in the town and keep up pressure on the airfield at the same time. Like, he's got his infantry coming in, and that's, you know, at this moment in time probably a better choice, because he needs to try and control Lennart's push in this town. The other thing he could do though is maybe just have a Churchill 6 sit here and a Churchill 6 sit here and just sort of shoot any infantry that tries to come out of the town. But currently it looks like Lennart's able to micro this Panzerschreck squad into a kill onto that Churchill 6. So there goes that plan. Very nice kill indeed for Lennart. And Lennart's just been making some really good micro plays with these Panzerschrecks in both this game and the last game that have really sort of made a big difference, because without that Churchill 6 on that bottom side, there's no like immediate support really for any infantry that comes in, and that's really hard for YueJin to deal with. But we do see one 25 pounder arriving now from YueJin. Good to see that come about. He's pinned down one of the 88s. We'll be trying to go for the second, but the ME-109 G2BR-21, that's going to be able to drop both of its rockets onto the 25 pounder and takes it out first time around. That's incredible. Spitfire here hopefully doesn't run out of fuel before it shoots down the ME-109. It doesn't, but my lord, that 25 pounder going down and Lennart sort of countering that is incredibly important. 88 also shoots down the Spitfire. Crazy stuff. Lennart there just making the perfect play when he needs to take out the 25 pounder that would otherwise harass his 88s and make it possible for YueJin to start pushing across his airfield once again. Because if YueJin knows the matchup, if he knows what's in the 91st Luftlandr, it's actually, I don't know how much common knowledge this is, but the 91st Luftlandr only get 2 88s, and these are the two that you can see at the moment. 2 2-star 88s. That's pretty much all they get for 88s. So if YueJin can take those out, it will give him control back of this airfield, where his Churchill 7 can then start contesting the Marder 2s once again. But here we can see the Marder 2s taking out another Churchill. The 17 pounder is being forced to fall back. Ersatztruppen are making ground up in these hangars, and what control YueJin did have seems to be starting to fall apart, although he's got a little bit of a salient going through here due to these rifles taking control of the bottom side of the airfield. Did get some shots onto the off map, but that off map's used up all of its strikes now. He's now relying on the push coming into this town. So the 2-inch carrier here engaging with its mortar, trying to pin down the pioneers and allow the rifles to move on to those. But he's also got to try and pin the Grenführer. And currently it looks like this Kubel munition is actually coming in to try and reload the machine guns of the Fallschirmjägers and also the HE grenades of the Pioneer. That's a very interesting thing there done by Lennart. He just zoomed up that Kubel munition, reloaded the Pioneers. Now if those Pioneers stop being pinned down, they have the potential to kill off this rifle unit in one shot. Very interesting indeed. Now the Kubel munition zooming to the bottom side, filling up the Fallschirmjägers, and just very awesome little plays being made here and there from Lennart. And we also see now the bailout onto the Churchill 6 here from the 88. That does have a transmission damage as well, and I'm pretty sure there's a bug that is causing, you know, tanks to fall back whilst they're bailed out, which relies solely on the transmission damage. So we're seeing that come about here, which is unfortunate, but I'm pretty sure Lennart will still find the kill nonetheless. On this top side, Command Stewart being brought in with the rifle leader. He's going to try and keep these rifles from being surrendered by the Ersatz, but some of the rifles are getting ahead of themselves at the moment. If they jump into that hangar, they come under fire from the Fallschirmjägers and the Ersatztruppen. Ersatztruppen are pinned down though, but do have the veterancy themselves from the Fallschirmjäger, so won't be surrendering anytime soon. 52% territory lead now in favour of Lennart. This has been extremely close when we look at the conquest score. Tripolston though now dying on the airfield. Two 25 pounders are here taking out the 88s, and what I'd like to see after those 88s are dead is an advance of a Command Churchill. I think that would be like the perfect choice for that airfield right now, because even though the Marder 2s have the ranged advantage, they can definitely, you know, just roll it into range and then still not be able to be penetrated, which is great. That's why you saw the other Churchill 7 survive for so long. But one of the 88s has been taken out there. That's going to free up one of these 25 pounders to help with the engagement on this top side. Maybe get the rifles to kill off some of the Ersatz or the Fallschirmjägers, maybe even pin down the Fallschirmführer, whilst this 25 pounder continues to try and finish off the 88 on the airfield. So more rifles coming in from YueJin, And honestly, it's going to start getting to the point soon where either player starts to get low on infantry availability, and that's going to really be like the decider, I feel, in this fight. Whoever runs out of infantry first in this town will lose the game. Because if like Lennart loses his infantry availability, or loses like the current squads he has and doesn't have any to back it up, his Marders won't really survive to the tanks out of YueJin at close quarters. They just won't. Like, YueJin can't, or Lennart can't really play around the close quarters tank engagements, but at the moment he's not needing to due to his Pioneers, and VulcanHDGaming doing a great job. And on the other side of things, if YueJin loses the town to Lennart's infantry and then doesn't have enough to sort of reinforce, then you know, that's going to make things very difficult for YueJin to then push back, and YueJin doesn't have to, or Lennart doesn't have to like push out of the town. He can just hold on to it, and that will give him the +1 advantage. So 25 pounder still firing away here. Is getting pretty low on ammunition. Looks like this 25 pounder further down is now trying to help pin the Pioneers and VulcanHDGers, which are being forced to fall back. This could be a chance here for YueJin to move forward as this Command Steward and make some serious ground. Going to be using that Command Steward, however, to hit these VulcanHDGer out in the open. Doing a lot of damage there with both the 50 cal and the 30 cal. It's a 3-star veteran unit as well, so definitely not going to miss anytime soon. Wolverine now trying to engage the Marder 2, and it looks like YueJin's trying to micro this engagement so that both the Churchill 5 and the Wolverine engage the Marder at the same time. Or maybe let it so that the Marder 2 engages the Churchill 5 and then not the Wolverine. Who knows? Either way, Marder has not fired back yet, but the Feldpanzer III has come in on this top side and is causing issues for the Wolverine. 25 pounder, again still going for the 88 shot. Rifle leaders jumped out the building. Going to try and get a Piet into the Feldpanzer III. Not going to land it this time around. That Panzer III is going to be forced to fall back. Not going to be surrendered though. Command infantry still nearby. Rifles getting pretty deep here. That grenade surely going to wreck those rifles as they get close range. Yep, the rifles are down. More rifles though on the way for YueJin. The 15th Infantry Scots doesn't run out of infantry very easily, and you can see them continuously flooding in here to try and make ground against these Pioneers. But for every one kill that YueJin's getting, I feel like these Pioneers are getting 2. Like every time, these Pioneers are just wrecking these rifles, and the Pioneers just aren't dying. And all the while, Lennart's just reloading the HE grenades, and that's really, really working out in favour of Lennart at the moment. Up on this top side, Stuart 42 now engaging the MMG carrier. Can possibly find the kill there due to the open top nature of the vehicle. Marder 2 providing fire support onto the rifles and rifle leader up here. And honestly, if both of those die, I'm pretty sure that Lennart will just take full control of that top hangar side, and currently is counting up the points to victory. He's got almost 1,000 points to his name, Lennart. YueJin isn't that far behind, so if he gets a +1 himself, he could still win. But there's only 5 minutes left on the clock currently, and Lennart's all over the sky here with his ME-109 G2 or G6R6s, and he just hit a really nice strike on the bottom side onto some rifles with the ME-109 G2 BR21. So that is giving away even more land from YueJin towards Lennart. And these rifles aren't going to last very long. Get rid of that little pocket of resistance. That might even push the +2 in favour of Lennart. And then things will look like they're truly over. Command Stewart there with the 50 cal, actually doing quite a lot of damage to one of these ME-109 G6R6s. And in the centre, on the airfield, the 17 pounder has found the range onto the Marder 2. That's going to go down on this airfield. 17 pounder has arrived to assist the Churchill 5s and the Wolverines, but any push from here on out is going to take time, and it looks like YueJin's just constantly investing into more infantry at the moment, which is a very slow way to do things. I think just focusing on this airfield would be a lot quicker. But the +2 has been found for Lennart. Things not looking good here for YueJin. Just some very nice small plays, like using this cube munition at such close range to reload his pioneers is just something that so many players don't do, when it's so important to do so due to the 20 HE power grenades really being very useful. This cube munitions actually use up all of its munitions just reloading the front line, like giving back the Fallschirmjägers that were on this bottom side its MG ammo. It just makes all the difference for these infantry engagements, which are so damn important. I was saying whoever runs out of infantry availability first would lose. It doesn't look like either player's really run out of infantry availability just yet, but still, you can see how well Lennart has played it, in that his infantry survived for so long and done so much damage. Like over here, we see the pioneers. They're about to kill off multiple units of rifles. They've just landed a grenade shot right in the middle of these rifles, I think. And YueJin's just going to be running in all sorts of directions. Yep, one of the squads going down there. Rifles almost pinned as well due to the 88. And then the third squad, well, that's going to take shots from both the Marder 2 and the 88. And it looks like a Pioneer squad is going to get a 3-for-1 there. That's not even going to die itself by the looks of things. There we go. Double surrender. 3 units of infantry gone for YueJin. He's now zooming into this bottom side, going to be pulling up right next to some Fusiliers. I can't believe those Fusiliers haven't been spotted yet. That is absolutely ridiculous. That truck literally drove right next to them. But either way, as soon as those rifles are dropped out, I feel like with both the fire support from the Grenführer and the Fusiliers right next to them, the rifles aren't going to last very long due to their low veterancy. Panzer III takes out the Stuart, and YueJin's going to surrender, and that is victory for Lennart after 37 minutes and 56 seconds. Congratulations to Lennart for becoming the victor of the Great Paradox Tourney. Fantastic job. And commiserations to YueJin. Still comes second in the tournament, but my lord, Lennart really showing us how to use the 91st Luftlander. I really adored the use of the Marder 2s throughout this series. They really worked very well in order to counter everything that YueJin was trying to do. And they just are very good bang for their buck. They are an armoured vehicle that has, you know, a Pak 40 mounted on them. And they're like 110 points apiece, I think. So very good value for money, and Lennart making fantastic use of them, using the air when he needed to, but not over-investing into air, like you often see 91st Luftlander players do, and just kept the pressure on the ground, making sure he had the Panzer 39s in there, that cause quite a lot of pressure as well, because there isn't much, especially across most of the games, that the rifles can do about them. Like both with the 15th Infantry Scots and the Guards Armoured, they don't have AT on like every infantry unit. So like a Panzer 39 can cause massive issues for pushing into it. And YueJin just bumped into so many issues throughout this game, with Lennart playing very, very well and getting like Panzerschreck squads into really nice positions. The just initial push out of Lennart with the Flammenwerfer, with the Fallschirmjägers and the Ersatztruppen. And the thing is, YueJin would have known that was coming, but it still managed to defeat him. And maybe it's just a very good combination that is very hard to play against. But YueJin made the ground early on in the airfield, which did give him a lot of points, 685 points to YueJin. And I don't know, it just seemed like the Marder 3s just overwhelmed him. Then we had the 88s come in, and the initial 25 pounder got rocketed by the MU-109 G2 BR-21. That was a really pivotal point in this game. Having that first 25 pounder just pop like that was very nice out of Lennart, and definitely led to an advantage on the airfield for Lennart due to those 88s still being alive and able to contest the Churchills that YueJin had. So just fantastic job by Lennart in this tournament. He's managed to come out the victor. First place for Lennart. Commiserations to YueJin, still takes second place. Both of these players walking away with Paradox titles at the end of the day. Lennart takes 3, YueJin takes 2. And yeah, just fantastic stuff. So if we go over to the kills, this might explain more of what happened. The rifles were actually fending quite well when they still had veterancy. But later in the game, like when the rifles actually lose their veterancy into the later phases, you kind of bump into the problem that the Pioneers just defeat rifles anyway, right? Churchill 5 did manage to do a reasonable amount of work here. Didn't really pay itself off very well, but killed off the Flak 36. This Churchill 6 as well, getting another Vulcan Abwehr. Dealt with them much better this time around. I think it was just because the Vulcan Abwehrs were more unlucky with their Panzerschreck squads than they were in the last game. The control of the Spitfires in the early game from YueJin was actually really nice to shoot down one of the HS129 B3s, and we also saw the ME109 G6R6 go down there, and one of the ME109 G2 BR21s later in the game, but that had already done the work by then. But yeah, this is the Spitfire I was talking about. It strafed the Pak 40 to death. It killed the HS129 B3. Pretty good job with those Spitfires. I was kind of concerned that he maybe overinvested into air early on, but no, they definitely paid themselves off. And 17 pounder in the later game started clearing up some of the Armada 2s, but it was too late by then. If we go over to the losses, we can see the Pak 40 was a little bit of an issue at the top at the start of the game. Managed to pop the honey, and that was pretty important. We saw the Fallschirmjäger jump forwards at the bottom and take out a honey, and we also saw the Stuart 42 take out the honey on the airfield. So all of the honey Stuarts weren't really effective throughout this game, and that really affected YueJin's ability to push in Phase A. We saw the Panzer 39 kill off the command carrier. Marder 2s killed off the Wolverine and the Churchill 7 after it got absolutely pinned to death and probably showed side armor, ended up getting itself killed. But look at these Pioneers. Like, as soon as the Pioneers came in, this is where the infantry engagement went just in complete favor of Lennart. So one Pioneer squad taking out 4 units of infantry. That is incredibly important. He did eventually get the kills onto the Spitfire Mark 9s. We also see here the Flak 88 doing work on that airfield. After the 25 pounder was killed off by the ME109 G2 BL21, that allowed this 88 to kill off the Churchill that was a Churchill 6, Churchill 5. It shot down that Spitfire Mark 9. It took out the Tripolston at a distance, and it also countered the 17 pounder that was there to kill the Marder 2s. So just really, really good by Lennart to get that 88 in there and do the job. This 88 also finding a Churchill 5 kill and the 6 pounder. Again, more Pioneers trading at least 1 for 1, which is very good to see, but 2 for 1 in most cases. Look, rifles here, 2 squads of rifles down to 1 Pioneer, 3 squads of rifles down to 1 Pioneer. That is the difference that was needed to be made in that town engagement that really pushed things in favor of Lennart. And fantastic job across the board. Some really awesome little plays in there that you guys should really take note of. Using the Kubel munition to reload the Pioneers and the machine guns of the Fallschirmjägers. Awesome stuff. Very, very nice game to finish off the tournament. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the Great Paradox tournament. I have been overwhelmed by the amount of awesome content I've been able to put out for you guys because of this tournament. So thank you to the organisers, Trance and CK Nor. Thank you very much for hosting the tournament and allowing me to cast it. It's been so much fun, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed the games that have come out of it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the commentary. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.